There was once a young girl named Oluchi, who shocked her entire village when she agreed to marry a poor, crippled old man that everyone mocked. They called her foolish, they laughed at her, they said she had thrown her life away. But on the night of the new moon, when the truth finally came out, every mouth in the village hung open, because the old man she married was not who they thought he was. In this life, don't look down on anyone, no matter what. Because the person you look down on might be your destiny helper. Stay with me to the end, because what Oluchi discovered will touch your heart and teach you the true meaning of courage. Oluchi was a 19-year-old girl with a quiet spirit. She did not talk much, but her eyes were warm, and her heart was brave. She lived in a small Igbo village where people loved to gossip. Every morning, she woke early to sweep the compound, fetch water, and help her widowed mother cook. People in the village said Oluchi was too soft, and that she would never survive the wickedness of life. But Oluchi did not mind their words. She believed that kindness was stronger than anger. One evening, after a long day in the farm, Oluchi rested under the big Udola tree. As she sat there, she saw an old man slowly walking with a stick. His back was bent, and one of his legs shook as he tried to move. Everyone called him Oki the cripple. Children laughed at him. Adults ignored him. But Oluchi watched him carefully. When he stumbled, she rushed to help him sit down. The old man looked at her with tired eyes and said, "My daughter, you have a brave heart." That simple sentence would change her life forever. The next morning, something happened that shook the whole village. Oki, the crippled old man, arrived at Oluchi's house with his walking stick and a small calabash. Her mother came out, surprised. "My daughter," he said, "I have come to ask for your hand in marriage." The words were like thunder. Oluchi's mother almost dropped her pot. Marry a crippled old man. A man with nothing. A man the village laughed at. Neighbors gathered quickly. Some covered their mouths. Some whispered loudly. Others shook their heads. Oluchi is finished. She will suffer. Is that the husband she wants? But Oluchi remained calm. She looked at the old man, then looked at the villagers, then at her mother, who was already crying. Oluchi finally spoke softly, "Mama, let me think." That night, Oluchi could not sleep. She remembered the kindness in the old man's eyes. She remembered how nobody cared about him. She remembered how gently he had thanked her. And something inside her whispered, courage is not always loud. The next morning, the village expected Oluchi to reject the old man. Everyone believed she would shout, cry, or run away. But Oluchi did something different. She stepped out of her mother's hut, walked to where Oki was waiting, and knelt gently before him. "I will marry you," she said. The entire village gasped. Some screamed. Some laughed. Some whispered that she had lost her mind. Her mother burst into tears. "Oluchi, why?" "Mama," Oluchi said softly, "this man is kind. And I want to help someone who has no one." Her mother had no words. She only hugged her daughter tightly. That same evening, the small traditional marriage took place. No music. No dancing. People only came to watch the strange girl who married the crippled poor man. But as Oluchi sat beside Oki, she felt something strange. The old man looked weak, but there was something in his eyes, a deep strength, a hidden secret, something she could not understand yet. She did not know that this marriage was about to reveal a mystery bigger than anyone imagined. Oluchi moved into the old man's small mud house at the edge of the village. It had only one room, a tiny window, and a roof that leaked when rain fell. Every morning, Oluchi swept the compound, cooked for her husband, and helped him walk around. The villagers mocked her. Some pointed at her and laughed whenever she passed. But Oluchi did not care. She stayed humble and gentle. One evening, Oluchi brought food to her husband, but she noticed something strange. His hands shook, but not as much as before. And when she helped him stand, he seemed slightly stronger. "Are you getting better?" she asked. The old man only smiled and said, "My daughter, courage brings light into dark places. Oluchi did not understand what he meant. But she continued taking care of him. Sometimes at night, she heard him whisper strange words, words that sounded like prayers or maybe secrets. But she never asked questions. She believed everything would make sense one day. After some weeks, the village became worse. People insulted her on the road. Children mocked her. Women whispered behind her back. Men shook their heads whenever she walked past. One afternoon, a group of village girls blocked her path. They laughed at her and said, "Oluchi, you are too pretty to waste your life. Why marry an old crippled man? You will know suffering." Oluchi tried to ignore them, but their words cut deep into her heart. She went home and cried quietly. That night, her husband noticed her red eyes. "My daughter," he asked, "why do you cry?" Oluchi wiped her face. "People say I made a mistake." The old man placed his shaking hand on hers. "Kindness is never a mistake." His voice was calm, but his eyes were deep, almost too deep for an ordinary old man. That night, something unusual happened. Oluchi saw him remove his wrapper before sleeping, and for just a moment, his back straightened, almost perfectly. She blinked in confusion, but when she looked again, he was bent like before. Fear touched her heart. Something was not normal. One night, during a heavy rainstorm, Oluchi woke up to a strange sound. It was like chanting. Soft, deep, powerful chanting. She slowly stood up and followed the sound to the back of the house. What she saw made her heart jump. The old man was standing without his walking stick. His back was straight. His legs were firm. He looked strong. Almost young. He stood in the rain, lifting his hands to the sky as lightning flashed. Oluchi gasped. The old man turned sharply and saw her. In fear, she tried to run, but he called out gently, "My daughter, do not be afraid." His voice was no longer weak. It was deep and powerful. Oluchi froze. The man walked toward her slowly, and as he did, his body appeared older again. His back bent. His legs shook. His voice returned to normal. "Please," she whispered, "what are you?" He looked at her with sad eyes. "I will tell you soon. But not tonight." Oluchi did not sleep till morning. Her heart beat like a drum. The next day, Oluchi watched her husband closely. He behaved like nothing had happened. He limped. He struggled. He coughed. He acted weak. But Oluchi now knew the truth. He was hiding something. Still, she did not confront him. Instead, she served his food, cleaned the house, and stayed by his side. At one point, the old man looked at her quietly and said, "You are not afraid of me." Oluchi shook her head. "No. I just want to understand." For the first time, he smiled fully, an honest smile. "You are courageous," he said. "More courageous than anyone in this village." That evening, a group of villagers passed by and began shouting insults. "Oluchi, how is life with your old husband? Are you enjoying poverty? You will cry one day." Oluchi held her tears. But Naoki watched them carefully, his eyes glowing for a short moment, almost like fire. Later that night, he said, "Oluchi, your courage is opening doors you cannot see yet." She did not understand, but she trusted him. One morning, Naoki told Oluchi to follow him to the forest. She helped him walk slowly. They reached a tall iroko tree. There, he pointed to the ground. "Dig," he said. Oluchi did not ask questions. She used a small hoe and dug. After some minutes, she hit something hard. It was a wooden box. She looked at her husband with confusion. He nodded. "Open it." Inside the box were shiny gold pieces, coral beads, old coins, and thick bundles of money wrapped with palm leaves. Oluchi covered her mouth in shock. What is all this?" The old man looked at her with calm eyes. "It is my true wealth," he said. "But why do you live like a poor man?" He sighed. Because I wanted to know who in this world still chooses kindness without looking at money. Oluchi's eyes filled with tears. And you, my daughter, you chose love, not riches. The old man stood up slowly, and this time, he did not bend. His legs straightened. His back aligned. His face seemed to grow younger. His voice deepened. Oluchi, he said, I am not a crippled old man. I am a wealthy man who hid from greedy people. I pretended to be weak to test the heart of humanity. Oluchi stepped back, shaking. You tested me. Yes, he said gently. And you passed. You cared for me without shame. You protected me. You showed true courage. Oluchi burst into tears. The man walked to her and held her shoulders. From today, he said, your life will never be the same. The forest felt silent. Even the wind stopped moving. Oluchi looked at the treasure again and cried harder. The man hugged her softly. You deserve everything good, he whispered. The truth had finally come out. Her courage had opened the door to a miracle. When Oluchi and the now strong man returned to the village, people ran out to stare. Some rubbed their eyes. Some dropped their baskets. Some screamed, "No, Oki is healed." But the biggest shock came when he carried the treasure box in his hands. I am not poor, he announced. I hid my riches from greedy eyes. Only one person showed me true courage, and that is my wife. People bowed their heads in shame. Some whispered apologies. Others cried. Oluchi stood beside her husband, no longer afraid, no longer ashamed. From that day, their home became the most blessed in the village. Their house was rebuilt. Their farm grew large. People came to ask Oluchi for advice, calling her the brave queen. And the man who once appeared crippled walked proudly beside her. At night, he would tell her, "You prove that kindness is courage. And courage brings light." Oluchi smiled because she knew the truth. Courage can turn even the darkest story into a shining legend. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if this story touched your heart.